Hi, welcome to our first episode of the Anza College's student-run publication, La Voz News Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Andrea Saldana.
I'm Ignacio.
Hi, I'm Nguyen.
I'm Paulina Madsen.
And today we are going to be giving the Anza College students a spotlight to share their stories of dealing with housing insecurity and what their current living situations are like.
We all live in the Bay Area and have been trying to make ends meet with high rent, inflation, just trying to support ourselves through school and work. This is actually a reality for so many students living in the Bay Area, whether they are from here or they moved here to pursue better opportunities.
Looking at the Anza students, housing insecurity is at an all-time high. The student homelessness population has increased. According to a survey conducted by Anza College in 2021, 16% of students reported that they are experiencing homelessness, and 54% of students express that they are facing housing insecurity.
I personally have struggled with housing insecurity. I moved out of my brother's house to San Jose for college, and at first it was really hard to find a place as a college student with no rental history whatsoever. Not to mention, most places require that you make 3 times the amount of rent, and as a college student that's really difficult to achieve. And eventually it took me a while to secure a place. I now work 35 hours a week at my part-time job, and it's so hard for me to come by when most of my income goes towards rent and bills. And I'm also a student at Anza taking 5 courses, so I really can't work more hours.
And unfortunately, that is like the reality for many students here at Anza. Many students like Amy are facing housing insecurity as well as homelessness, and this affects how successful these students become and the possibility of them even graduating or transferring to 4-year institutions under the stress of being homeless or of the risk of being evicted because they can't afford rent. And in the beginning of February, Paulina, Amy, and I went on Anza campus to interview students, and 2 out of the 5 students we interviewed actually shared their experiences with housing insecurity. And we're going to play some of those interviews for you today. Our first interview is Danny Tran, who's 18 and a computer science major.
Currently, I rent and I pay around $2,500 a month. My occupation, I work a part-time job at McDonald's.
And how much of your money, I guess your income, goes to your bills?
Almost like 90%. Like sometimes I barely got food to eat at home, and then like almost everything I work after school, I gotta like pay the rent, and then maybe I'll bring home a burger if they let me, and that's my dinner. I live over in San Jose. Yeah, I commute by the bus.
And do you know anyone else in your community or your friends that are kind of facing the same?
Oh yeah, a couple other friends. Like the people I rent with, they also like gotta pay, and they come here as well. We take the bus together. Like one of my friends, like Ashen, he's in the similar situation, but he works somewhere else. Yeah.
I actually really relate to Danny, if anything, because in the past year, I moved down to SoCal for school, and I was hoping to go to school while kind of paying rent, but ultimately it was just not a reality. It would have been too hectic. So I took a year off from school and I started working full time, and that ultimately got me by. But yeah, like I had to take a year off.
Yeah, for instance, I also would like to add that SoCal is definitely not affordable, not in the very least compared to San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy that you took that initiative because I was also planning to move to SoCal, and if I'm struggling here now, I definitely don't think I would be making it down there.
Yeah.
So props to you for sure.
Thanks. Appreciate it. We're here now, so that's good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that, hearing Danny's story was very disheartening, and I just, I personally don't know too many people who are going through that situation. So hearing his story firsthand was a major realization of how real and serious this issue is. And yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I remember when like Paulina and we were like talking to him, like I felt bad, like, and I didn't really I knew like this was like a reality for students, but you know, it's hard hearing it like in person.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
disheartening.
So, and I've like kind of had like some like kind of the same experience, but not in the sense of like I moved out. Like I still lived with my mom, but like my mom and I could barely afford like the rent, so I had to like quit school for a couple months and just like work full time and be able to afford it. Now I learned how to like balance it all, but it's still hard to be able to afford rent that's over $1,000 a month and attend school full time.
Right.
Yeah.
So honestly, props to Danny and also other students who are dealing with.
Definitely props to you, Andrea. That's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
sacrifice.
But honestly, like props to all of us. Like look at us. we're making it through.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So for our other interview, we interviewed Joe Min, who's 24 years old, and he's a business major, and he's also an international student here at the Anza.
I live at the homestay.
Experience been for you?
There's been ups and downs, but I've tried to have a lot of conversation with the host families so that we could figure out what's the best way for living in the same house. So yeah, it's fine now.
And do you pay any rent, utilities, bills?
I do $1,000.
$1,000.
Mhm.
And how does that affect, I guess, like your personal income?
Ooh, it's crucial. I mean, it always bothers me. That makes sense. And I've always should pay a really good attention. Try not to be late. And yeah, since I'm from South Korea, I always have to think about the currency as well. Yeah.
And let's say the Anza offered housing.
Mhm.
Would you be interested in it?
Oh, definitely.
And why would you be interested?
Because it's run by the school, so I think I'll feel more comfortable than to just live in a random family's house.
So I'm gonna add some more information about Joe Min. So one thing that he did not mention in that audio clip was that he actually doesn't have a job at the moment. So all of the money that he's paying monthly, $1,000 that he pays monthly, is just like money saved from when he was in his home country. And honestly, it's really difficult to not only move to an entirely new country where you're basically dealing with this huge culture shock, but as well as living with a whole new family and having to adjust to their traditions, to their customs, to something that's completely different from his own. And I remember when I studied abroad for a month, I dealt with that for a month, you know, like that was only a month, but he has to deal with that for his whole time being here at the Anza. And that is a lot, and that is very true for other international students who I've met too, who have to deal with this huge change, and they basically have to try to find ways to make the Anza and I guess Cupertino or San Jose their home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I know this one other person, my friend. He moved to San Jose with me as well, but he didn't really have an opportunity as good as I did, and he used to live in this family's house that made him pay over $1,000, and he could only stay in the room. Basically, he had no living space, he had no kitchen space, and they made him do all the chores. So I could imagine what it's like for Joe Min, because it was really sad to hear that my friend Andy was going through something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine the pressure of moving, and I mean I did it myself too, but I mean to the case of Joe Min, like he immigrated here from a whole different country, and it's kind of a lot of pressure to make that move and just want to make it work out for you, and
Right.
like in the moment, so it's just so hard. It's like a struggle, really.
Right. And like, not to mention, you could lose that place in like a moment given,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a huge sacrifice too. Like South Korea is very far, and he came all the way to California to pursue a business degree. So so it honestly amazes me like how much these international students sacrifice, even though they're not guaranteed somewhere to live,
Right.
or basic resources, and they're doing this. They have all this motivation because they want to pursue a degree here, like in the United States, which honestly, like, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that definitely the perseverance and, the strength it takes to make such a move and such a huge transition. I just couldn't imagine that, and I just give them all the props, encouragement, so I really hope that things will change and they can be supported in the way that they deserve.
Right. Yeah. That being said, housing on campus would definitely help.
I agree.
Yeah, and some of the other students that we interviewed, like on the street, not on the street, but on campus, I would say, we asked them like various questions. We also asked them like, what if like Dan's offered housing, like would you be interested in? All of the 5 people that we interviewed, the students that we interviewed. Yeah,
personally, I would definitely take it too.
Of course. Just because I feel like it would be a lot more safer for students to take that instead of having to find like their own accommodations. And of course it's funded from the school, so they would meet other students, and I feel like it would be such a great support for all of them together.
Yeah, on the bright side, Anza now has been directing students to organizations that provide rental assistance and different types of basic resources to help the needs of underprivileged students. The city of Cupertino actually contributed $50,000 worth of grant funds within the last year in order to create programs for Anza students.
According to the Anza College website, under Housing Assistance tab, that students who live in Cupertino can apply for limited cash grants up to a maximum of $2,000 in order to help them avoid eviction or pay move-in costs, so they're able to continue their education at Anza.
And so what Amy just mentioned about the Anza College website is that there's actually a new addition to it where it's called Resources for Basic Needs. It's this new area on the website where students can find help for like if they need access to food, as well as housing assistance, mental health services, transportation help, and just a lot of other resources, even like clothing, personal hygiene, things like that, which is actually new and was, I believe, recently added in the past few years. So that being said, if our listeners right now, if you or anyone else needs help in these areas, check out the page. It's www.danza.edu/resources to get the help that you need. It's right there for you. It's free, so use up those resources and make sure that you are making your life as a student much easier. So that is a wrap for our first episode. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in. And make sure to stay alert for our new episodes, which will be posted on the Love Us News website and as well as their social media. If you or someone you know could be a student, faculty, or employee here at Anza College and are facing housing insecurity or homelessness, feel free to reach out if you're interested in sharing your story on our podcast. You could send Lavos News a direct message on Instagram under the handle @LavosDanza. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.